everybody. Thanks for joining us again on the Spot for Health, where we bring Sun Prairie healthcare providers and information to you. I'm Shirley Gutkowski, and this is Dr. Go ahead.
I'm Dr. Shalom Samuel with Shalom Family Chiropractic.
Super. So today we thought we would talk a little bit about sleep, and I have to say that it's kind of a lucky day because I slept the whole night. I got super good scores on my sleep study this morning, and so I'm just curious, how did you sleep last night?
Okay, my watch actually said congratulations for sleeping through the night. So.
I don't know what I did or what I do to get to that point, but it's always a nice surprise when I'm like, oh, it's after 6. How nice. But I do a lot of things to help me sleep, and so that's what we wanted to talk about today. And then what the top things that we want to talk about, or that interfere with sleep or that can help support sleep, are a couple of things, even things like not sleeping with your animal.
Oh.
That's a big game changer. A friend of mine, Rita, she sleeps with her dog in her bed, and her dog somehow never makes it through the night. So she has to wake up to accommodate this dog. And then I think one of your top favorites is to sleep on your back. My top favorite is to sleep with my mouth closed. And then we were talking earlier about using pillows. And so let's start with the pillow talk, shall we?
Yeah, some people have a really firm, really high pillow. They like to be propped up, but they fall asleep while reading. And so that can cause many disappointments in the morning because, when you're brushing your teeth, you're like, that feels weird.
Why does my neck
hurt? Yeah. So a good thing I'm a side sleeper, and usually most people, I think, even though they start on their back, they end up on their side. As long as they don't sleep on their stomach, I'm good with that. But when you sleep on your side, a good thing to check is like your ear is parallel to your shoulder, and your shoulder is parallel to your hips.
So down this way, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And then sometimes I even have them put a pillow, like a thin pillow between their knees, and then hug a pillow so that your shoulders don't go. But yes, when we sleep, things move and that happens. But start off like that so that you're consciously thinking how well to sleep.
We were talking earlier about the cervical curve in your neck and how you wanted to maintain that. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I was working to restore my cervical curve. And when I bunched up a towel or a pillow under my neck, my mouth closed. And I thought, what the heck is that about? So I think that has a lot to do with maintaining your curve and why there's a curve there. And it kind of correlates with my big thing about sleeping with your mouth closed and whether or not you should tape your mouth.
Right.
So can you kind of let's talk about that and how to get that cervical curve. Because I laid on that pillow for, 45 minutes, I think. Couldn't fall asleep, and I was like, I'm done with this. And I just went and taped my mouth shut. So
yeah, it's kind of hard in the beginning when you are retraining basically your musculature, right? We usually are supposed to have a nice C-shaped curve in our neck and our lower back. But because of our forward head posture, car accidents, trauma, all these things can make our cervical curve. When you see it on the x-ray, it's usually like
a military neck. I had that for a while.
Yes, military neck. So the problem with stiff or military neck is that you have all these nerves coming out of your cervical spine, right? So when it's straight, it puts all that pressure. So think of like you're stretching a rubber band, but if you have a nice curve, then the nerves, the exit points of those nerves from the spine are relaxed. So therefore information goes from your neck like, to your heart, and blood pressure, maintaining blood pressure, and the breathing rhythm of your lungs. So those are all much more relaxed. So I usually say comfortable with the pillow. It shouldn't be like too high, shouldn't be too low, but filling up that space and accentuating that curve. So that's why I say even sometimes to get a nice towel and then fold it over and then roll it up so then your neck is a little bit tilted and you're accentuating that. So it's an exercise, right? So like you said, you're uncomfortable after like 30, 40 minutes. That's okay. Just try a little bit at a time. You're still exercising those muscles. So that's what's important.
So that makes me now wonder. So when I was doing a program for, I think it was when I was speaking in Australia, where I was wanting to talk about babies and baby posture and the cervical curve. And I was like, why don't babies have a little something there? And I found a picture, a recommendation of having like a little tiny baby washcloth and just put behind, because we want them to lay on their back, right? And no pillows and no blankets and everything, but a little washcloth, right, folded up to accommodate that curve. Is that a good idea, or was that a bad picture? Or?
Well, if you just do, the exercise they tell babies to do, tummy time.
Yes.
That's what that does, because they're moving their neck up trying to see, and that creates that, because they're not obviously walking right away or exercising muscles. So the tummy time, and worst comes to worst, when they have a cold and stuff, you have to prop them up a little bit. Yeah. And I've tried the washcloth thing with my kids.
Yeah. And does it work? Does it add a little curve there? That's awesome.
And babies with torticollis too, like laying on their back is the most excruciating, because you're kind of using that muscle, the SEM and all the neck musculature. So if you do put a washcloth, they actually feel a little bit of relief.
So torticollis, that is a word that I'm never going to get used to. Is that like a baby muscle cramp?
Yeah, the muscles that our necks hold up, usually from birth trauma. If like the pull is a little bit harder or anything like that, that can cause. So they won't turn to one side because it just hurts. It's like inflammation of that one muscle.
And then you can just get rid of it.
Yeah, get adjusted. It's like a big adjustment, and then you work with the muscles continuously, and then they're able to turn.
Awesome. So then there's a big disconnect between women's sleep and men's sleep. And women's sleep is disturbed much more than, maybe that's why my friend has no problem with her dog waking her up. She's just used to being a mom, even though her children are also in their 40s. So what is the average sleeping time for people in the United States is another really interesting question. Also, sleeping with the baby seems to be a big hot topic. What are your recommendations for co-sleeping? Let's just start with that.
I recommend whatever works for your family. I'll talk about what worked for us. In India, where I grew up, we all co-slept. No one had like separate rooms or anything like that. But that's how we started off here, because I was breastfeeding and it was easier to just have the baby there. But there comes a certain point where they're kicking and laying on you, or their head is literally like on your neck sleeping. And then that inhibits us, the parents, from sleeping well. When I say parents, me. So when it came to that, then I was like, that's it. I need my sleep. So then we put them in their own room in their crib. So, and then, monitor. So the only downfall with that is that when they cry, you have to get up and go and see. But I would rather have that 30 minutes or 2 hours of peaceful, restful sleep, and then have to get up, then like continuously having to move.
Did you have one of those co-sleepers? My daughter-in-law bought a co-sleeper, and it attached underneath the mattress, and the baby was not in bed, but he was in bed.
We had that for my toddler when we lived in California. She had like an attached thing, but she still slept between us, on top of us.
Yeah.
So there's no way, you can't like wake that child up. Right. So you just sleep like that uncomfortably, which.
Well, it turns out that people who have sleep apnea have a harder time with sleep, and they don't sleep as well. So not to just, I guess we're kind of shifting, and then we're going to shift back for just a little bit. And so the gold standard for sleep improvement is supposed to be the CPAP machine. But the CPAP machine is probably very much like an infant, where you have to manage the mask, and you have to continuously tighten the straps that hold the mask on, and then that alters the shape of the face. And they're also making sleep apnea devices for infants and children, which was a super shocker for me. And I just can't imagine that you can't restore a child's sleep with something beyond this machine.
Right.
Because you aren't sleeping really well with that machine on.
And I have a couple of patients who are using that machine, and they have scabs on their nose.
Oh boy.
Due to the non-sizing of the mask. And they say it's now worse than before.
Yeah,
because they're always adjusting this and
they're waking up for different reasons, right?
Yeah.
So the stressor of the oxygen drop has been alleviated, but they're still not getting the restorative sleep that they need.
Yeah, which is crazy.
It is crazy. And people that have a CPAP machine, and surprisingly, about 50% of people who use a CPAP machine like it, which is a shocker. And I have a number of patients that don't want to give it up. And I'm like, look, what is your, there's a reading that comes out on the machine in the morning. And if you have less than half an episode per hour, I think, it's time to cash it in. But they're married to it now. And so they really, really want to have it. And that's fine. But you're not necessarily relying on it. And if you're 7, that's one thing, but when you're 17 to 35 and you're stuck on a CPAP machine, there are other options for that.
Yeah.
We have some other little statistics here between men and women and how our sleep has been deteriorating over time. Just last year with all of this hoopla, this fear porn and illnesses and quarantines and mask wearing and all of that. And what the Mattress Insider reports is that men were sleeping a little over 7 hours a night in January a year ago, so January 2020, and women were just under 7 hours. And now in September, so not exactly now, but men lost about a half an hour a night sleep, and women lost over a half an hour of sleep every night. So that's important to know too. And then states are losing sleep as well. And Wisconsin looks like we're right in the middle where we like to be, right? We're middle people. We're in the bread basket or whatever, the middle of the United States-ish. But, we're losing sleep due to a lot of different factors. I think one of the factors is we're watching television more because we can't do a lot of things. Today, as we're recording this, it's 15 below zero. It's not exactly going out jogging weather,
right?
Even for hardcore joggers. So it's important that we start to pay attention. And if you have lost some time during your sleep, it's important that you figure out what's been going on and how you can recover.
And the implications of that, I mean, when we think about it, it's just half hour. It's just 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But every day, and sleeping time is the time where your body actually rests and relax. So if you're not allowing that to happen, then you're always, the bear's always chasing you, you just keep, and then you have burnout.
Right.
And then you get super sick, or because you're more apt to getting viruses and bacteria and stuff because your immunity is not up because you haven't slept enough in order to regain it.
Right.
So it's like a circle, right? So we have to be diligent in certain things so that our body is actually functioning at its optimal level.
Exactly, and we need to really force that issue right now. We're coming into spring. The actual progression of any flu cycle is going to be diminishing pretty soon, any minute. And so we need to kind of get back together and get our bodies optimized again because it's been a long 2 years. It's been a really long 2 years. So another diagram we have here, again, about women losing sleep. 57% of women report not getting enough sleep. And if their kids are under 18, 71%
Wow.
of women are not getting optimal sleep. And then the worry lines of people seem to be pretty much all about money.
Mm-hmm.
Most
Work.
of them. Yep. Work and money. And those are, I was surprised to see on the graphic that arguments and not having a good relationship with your significant other or spouse was so low as compared to financial issues in the future. So your financial plan. We should have a financial planner on here one day too, because financial planning is not very difficult. Somehow it's super scary, which doesn't make any sense, but I'm definitely in that category of being super afraid of financial issues in the future. So I'm just a little ostrich about that.
So yeah, keeping your spine in alignment, closing your mouth while sleeping. Do we have any other tips?
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of tips. So I came up with some tips just from me, and then we're going to go over some tips for you. So let's shift my papers around here to make sure I can read them all. So number one for me is to move during the day. On the days that I am sitting at my desk the whole day and I only walk from the car to my desk to the car to go home and then to the kitchen table and to the TV, those are falling asleep tragedies. That's just never going to happen. The other one is sleep with your mouth closed or use tape. Or as we were talking about earlier, try to put a pillow behind your cervical curve so that your mouth will naturally close. Be sure your minerals are optimized. What we hear about vitamin D quite a bit, and that's coming up as one of my top tips. But magnesium is a mineral, and that needs to be optimized. There are a bunch of different kinds of magnesium. So which for you is the best sleeping magnesium?
I think I forget the name right now, but
yeah, there's a couple.
There's a couple different, but
and there some of them are upgraded, so it's not like you're just swallowing rocks.
Right. Yeah, because there's magnesium sulfate and magnesium lactate
and citrate.
Citrate. Yeah. So I think I do magnesium lactate.
Do you?
Yeah.
So with the lact in there, does that mean it has lactose or?
No, it's just a derivative of the compounds.
So there's no milk product involved in that?
I don't think so.
I just want to make sure. I don't think so either.
Double check on that.
All right. The next one is a little bit harder for a lot of people, and that is to not eat for at least 3 hours before you go to bed. That is really important. We've switched out we didn't. I have a bedside table, and I put a red light bulb in there. And I turn it on after dinner so that we don't have to turn on the overhead lights because we're still old school. We have overhead lights in our bedroom. And that seems to really make a difference because your eyes really read what part of the day you're at. So having a red light or predominantly a red light at that time of day is really important. What the red light does is it stimulates the rods and cones behind your eye to stimulate melatonin. All right, so don't exercise close to bedtime. That's another one. A lot of people are like, oh, I got to get my workout in, and then I'm going to run home. I'm going to have a little, a power shake or whatever, and then I'm going to go to bed. That's not very optimized. So you're still in a high anxiety kind of a feel, and you just need some time to cool down from your workout. And then using nasal dilators can be really helpful. So the generic term is nasal dilators. They fit inside your nose and spread your nose apart from the inside. So Breathe Right strips do it from the outside, but there's a lot of glue. And I found that and I always try to wear it twice because I'm so cheap. And then I really get a lot of glue on my face. So these nasal dilators can really be helpful for that. And then optimize your vitamin D levels. That's
D3 levels.
D3, there you go. D3, and match that with K2. and you're going to make it so that your body can use that vitamin D. So vitamin D is fat soluble. It lives in your fat. So during the summer, primally, we were hoarding vitamin D from the sun, and then we would store it in whatever fat stores we had on our body. And then after fall, and after there was no food, and after there was no sun, then it would be expressed throughout the body during the winter. So what I've been doing is I've been doubling up, because I do have a sedentary lifestyle and I'm indoors like 99% of the time. And so I double up on my vitamin D during the summer, and then I cut it back in half during the winter, because that's how the body's supposed to be working. So do you have any
And it's important
strategies for D?
for people that, you know, live in the Midwest or really cold weather, because we have winter 10 months out of the 12. So
yes, exactly.
So keeping that is, even though we do have sun, but it's hard to go out and breathe sometimes.
Well, it is. It's hard to go out and breathe, and the angle of the sun doesn't promote vitamin D manufacture from the skin cells. So even if you were out there in your swimming suit up here in the north, it's very difficult for your body to create vitamin D. The cutoff line is at Atlanta. So whatever that latitude is, that's where the sun isn't high enough to promote vitamin D. Look at me. Yes, sir, I know some stuff. So what are your main tips?
Well, just working with my kiddos, they usually get a bath. I don't know, warm bath. You were telling me something about being cool.
Yep, the body wants to cool down, they're telling me.
Okay. Well, we usually do a lavender warm bath. So basically that relaxation mode, because we are go, go, go during the day. So during the night, we want to get into that mode of rest and relaxation. So that's why we start out with the lavender oil bath. And then they get ready for bed, and they're not supposed to watch anything. Even for us adults, we don't watch anything 2 hours prior to going to bed, other than my husband. But
well, he's got his own rules. He's
so because of that blue light, and even sometimes we all have blue light glasses, including my kids, because we're homeschooling, so they have stuff to do online. So they have the blue light glasses, so that doesn't impact our vision. And then being well hydrated, not eating right before. You know, usually kids want a snack or something before they go to bed, but dinner time, that's it. Yeah, and then sometimes weighted blankets too. I've heard some people, just that release of oxytocin with that, like it's like a hug. So creates that happiness mood, so that you're able to rest and relax and go to bed.
And fall asleep.
Fall asleep, yeah.
So it's there's plenty of things that you can do to improve your sleep, and we just gave you a boatload of tips.
And getting adjusted and having
kidding,
is also a big deal.
You know, there's some self-help things that you can do, but sometimes you just can't do it. And so we have some other things. Oop, you touched the microphone. We have some other things that we can do at Primal Air to really support your sleep health. And Dr. Shalom has a lot of things that she can do at Shalom Family Dentistry. I'm just a big dental person. I just can't stop. Shalom, there I did it again. I'll let you do it. Okay, and then just so you know, March 18th is World Sleep Day, and it's coming up, so mark your calendars. And in the World Sleep Organization is meeting in person in Rome in March. So if you want to meet me there, it's still a big question mark on my calendar, because I really just don't know what travel's going to be like. But you can see us right here in Sun Prairie. You don't have to wait to see us in Rome. So any parting thoughts about sleep?
Yeah, I know we don't think about it on an everyday basis. It's just nighttime, we go to sleep. But if we are diligent with our sleep routine and make sure we get 8 to 9 hours of sleep, then our next day will be better. We wake up brighter. Our outlook on life is a much more positive one. We have given our body the ability to rest and relax. So keep that in mind when you head into this world.
Excellent. So I'm Shirley Gutkowski at Primal Air.
I'm Dr. Shalom Samuel at Shalom Family Chiropractic.
Thanks for joining us.